All right. Well, thank you, everybody around the world, for waking up or staying up and learning a little bit more about cannabinoids and how they actually will influence or contribute to personal care. This presentation is going to be about 40 minutes in length. So I would encourage you as we're going along to post your questions, and Perry will work on making sure that we try and get your questions. If we can't, or if you ask a question that's too difficult or I don't know the answer, what we will do is go back and do the research and come back to you with a bona fide answer. So this particular slide shows both our hemp farm in Western Colorado and our 51,000 GMP compliant square foot GMP compliant facility located in Golden. So Golden is 15 miles west of Denver. If you come in to visit us, it's about a 40-minute drive from Denver International Airport. So I'm going to cover a lot of ground today. And the industrial hemp industry, the cannabinoid industry moves almost at the speed of light. I was talking with Mary Lynn and Perry earlier before we started the seminar, and there are significant advances that we're seeing in the hemp space almost on a quarterly basis. So you'll start to see some of that as we actually move through the presentation. When you're working with cannabinoids, there are things that you need to understand. Regulatory landscape is really important here. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to give you a flavor for what that regulatory landscape looks like. Wherever you're located, what your business model is, what country you're in, you're going to want to check into what the regulatory landscape is before you start working on these particular products. We'll talk about the importance of land to brand and traceability. And then we'll move on to the science, cannabinoids and personal care. So what is the science behind the cannabinoids, specific skin health benefits? I'll talk a little bit about psoriasis and as well as inflammatory bowel disorder. We'll touch base on cannabigerol, and somebody asked about whether we're going to talk about cannabinol, CBN, and I'll show you some data with respect to that. We'll talk about the applications of cannabinoids and anti-infectives, and the compounds that people always don't talk about, terpenes, are also something that need to be considered. So in terms of the regulatory landscape, the first thing is, why is everybody so excited and getting into cannabinoids? So that'll be one of the underlying features that we talk about in this presentation. So first off, this is a 2019 projection that you can see on the left. The CBD market, cannabidiol market, is predicted to grow nearly 40 times its current size by 2022. Now, I'm still waiting for a better market projection, but now that number, in terms of actually achieving a $25 billion number, is now projected to be $80 billion by 2025. So in a mere 3 years, you can see that this is an accelerated market size. And so for those of you working in companies, pretty much you're going to see CBD somewhere on the horizon. Now in 2019, the revenue from personal care products was $730 million here in the US. And this is from small companies. They're not well-known brands. They're little tiny companies of about 10 people making these products and achieving these massive revenue numbers. So it's got regional, local penetration. There's not one major player in the market yet. There are multiple product types. And for those of you in marketing, it's an extremely fragmented market. Topical CBD products are expected to exceed $3.8 billion only here in the US by 2026. And I would tell you that I think this is underestimated for a lot of different reasons. First, large international brands have not entered the space yet. They're doing the homework, and we're actually seeing queries about large quantities of raw materials to actually manufacture. And so we did see 3 brands actually enter the space in 2020 prior to COVID. But in order to achieve the potential, we need improved regulations. And I'm not normally a person who would actually advocate government statements. But in this case, I think you'll see that it's really important. We also need standards of identity. These are new ingredients, and they're complex ingredients. And so we'll talk a little bit about standards of ingredients as we move along. Now, part of the excitement and the reason why there's a huge market potential is that there's about 135 different conditions that CBD, cannabidiol itself, has actually been reported to address. Now, we take more of a pharmaceutical approach as opposed to a cosmetic approach. So just bear with me as I talk to you about how we actually characterize these products.